say there, when you are fired on the front page, in fact, my first firing for City from when I was running Smith Barney, and I was fired that time because I was I returned client money the downturn because we'd missold products and got into a back and forth with my CEO that went to a board battle about whether to reimburse clients. And I'll never forget sitting in my office and seeing it, I'm afraid it wasn't on Bloomberg, it was CNBC, sort of turning around after winning the battle and looking, and I'm like, oh look, the poor woman's gotten fired. And I turned back, I'm like, oh my God, it's me. It's just shocking, it's just a shocking moment. But there's something about being fired on the front page of the Journal where, one reaction could be, oh my God, Gary, could you go buy up the Journal today and see if nobody, or you can be like, score, front page, Journal.
I Googleable even more
and look,
now.
there is something. So I actually walk around with two conflicting emotions and thoughts in my brain all the time. And one of them is, I'm so pissed off that we haven't made more progress for all of our nieces and daughters so far. And I'm so pissed off about this Time's Up Me Too that we're having to have this moment. And, along in that part of the brain was the, gosh, is that embarrassing to get fired. And by the way, from jobs I loved. The other side of the brain is that score front page of the Wall Street Journal. And the other side of the brain is, we all won the lottery and we know it. And that every one of us here is living more luxurious, better lives than what the friggin' Queen of England did 100 years ago, right? It's actually not that long ago. And so I am so incredibly grateful for the experiences that I've been able to have. I'm so incredibly grateful that they hit the jackpot, that my parents, I was born, my parents were in their young 20s when I was born. They had 4 children, age difference oldest to youngest, 3 years and 11 months, no twins. And they went into all kinds of debt to get us a great education, because I grew up in South Carolina. And
You once told me that the only thing you saw your parents fight about was money.
The only thing they fought about was money, because they went so into debt in order to get us out of the 49 out of 50 in the US public school system to private schools.
Yeah.
And so money was such a source of stress. And so I'm so grateful to them, and I'm so grateful for the privilege that we've had. That, balancing those two things is gratitude, so now let's go for it and, and really fight these things that we're so pissed off about.
And you drew the link that if more women earn money, perhaps there will be fewer divorces or fewer combative relationships, because less to fight about. So after these public firings, how did you cope? What are the things that you did? Did you disappear for a while? Did you mope for?
I drank.
Well, drinking?
No, I drank a lot. Really quite a substantial amount. I'll tell you what I did. So what I did after getting ousted in Merrill is I did spend a full day at a pity party for myself, and read nice emails from people and felt bad and didn't take a shower and all that stuff. And then the next day, I actually called every member of the board of directors of Bank of America and said 2 things to those who would call me back. Number 1, I want to thank you for the opportunity to have run Merrill Lynch. It's an absolute honor, the opportunity of a lifetime, and I couldn't be more grateful. And number 2, could I please have some feedback on what I could have done better? And from then, it's like, okay, now let me build on, these experiences. P.S., you talked about sort of mentoring, etc. The number 1 piece of feedback I got was from there, Sallie, we saw the business results, we saw the turnaround that had been affected at Merrill since the financial crisis, we saw the gaining share, etc. The truth is, no one in that room fought for you. And so you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have a sponsor, and when the CEO came in and said, if these business results are this good, imagine with this other individual, they could be that much better. They weren't later, just so you're wondering.
So let's continue with some of the advice that you would give to some of the people in this audience as they ascend, hopefully, into the ranks of management. What would you tell them to help their careers?
Well, look, I sort of started with it, which is the number one question I always got back when I was a research analyst in the day from investors who were choosing whether to invest in this company or that company is the management team any good? And I never was able to answer it until I saw the research on diversity. And so, as leaders and managers pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone, it is so friggin' easy to hire people who you like. And so easy to hire people whose senses you can finish. And unfortunately, we really encourage this because we talk about a culture fit, right? A culture fit. That just means someone like me. That means someone I'm comfortable with. At Elevance, we talk about a culture add. Someone who brings something to the table that we don't otherwise have. We tend to ask HR, give HR the wrong charge. I want to find the best person for the job. The best person for the job. I want to have the best athlete. And so what ends up happening then is we tend to have people who are in the image of the CEO. As opposed to if we say, I want to put together the best team, what qualities are we missing? Oh, we have too many people who work their whole lives at XYZ. We have too many people from the Northeast. We have too many introverts. We have too many folks who are analytical. We need some more, creatives. And actually view it as more of a puzzle for what are we missing and let's fill it in. And then you might have someone who's the best person who went to Harvard or something like that, but might be the best person, but isn't the best team member. And so using it more as solving a puzzle and actively working to make yourself uncomfortable. I love to tell people, that at Elevance, my co-founder, he and I barely agree on anything, which just sometimes you realize, oh, don't make me go back in there. But that's completely on purpose, because if I have someone agree with me, what's the point?
Let's talk about qualities more, because this is a slippery slope. In finance, which is generally considered a masculine, highly competitive area, you said that you actually embraced the feminine qualities that some people criticized in your management. One example, that you wanted to own up and return some of the money that you felt was lost wrongly.
Yeah.
So is this something that we can encourage now, or is it still something that is going to come back and bite?
Well, I think it depends on the company, unfortunately. Right, so look, the truth is, the power of diversity is diversity. The power of diversity is not bringing in people who are different and then training them to act like the majority. And that's what we tend to do. We tend to, Catalyst calls it cascading bias, where we look at the senior leadership, we look at the CEO and say, well, he has these qualities. He's risk tolerant, he's decisive, and then we tell everybody to do that too. Well, that's one way to be successful, but there are other ways to be successful. And so the power of diversity is bringing those different qualities to work and allowing, by the way, if we have too many, it's not just you got too many guys, you have too many women, then you're not going to be as successful. So I want to be able to always say, bring your whole self to work and be your whole self and be authentic and be this and be that. The truth is, it just depends on what company you work at. And if you go in individually and you're in a very traditional company that doesn't, embrace those kind of differences and you are the one who's different, you can lose your job. The only thing that I've seen, the two things I've seen work in terms of driving companies to the next level. One of them is the CEO just decides to do it. And that he typically decides, forget about the next announcement of the next diversity committee or the next initiative or the next sponsoring program or blah, we're just gonna close the friggin' gender pay gap. And it's there and we're gonna close it. And by the way, in the next year or 2 years, we're gonna get to X%, this kind of diversity, racial diversity or gender diversity. By the way, we're gonna have a family leave policy that is gender blind. Do those things that change the company. And when you talk to CEOs about that, they'll often say they get pushback from the middle management, which is I like to say middle management is where diversity goes to die, right? Because people are protecting their turf. Because yes, they went to the unconscious bias training 2 weeks ago, but they're dealing with an entire lifetime of operating in a patriarchal society. And so they're one hire a year, there's 2 promotions a year, they're gonna go to someone they're comfortable with. And so either the CEO decides to break the friggin' wheel and change it, or we come together and use maybe our women's diversity group to engage with the senior leadership to drive change. But what unfortunately rarely works is that if you're in a traditional hidebound company, you bringing your full self to work and being the only one is not something I can wholeheartedly recommend.
Your